and we are live. I hope that there are some pre-Chiro students that will one day sit and watch this conversation, because I'm really excited to connect with a friend, a mentor, David Chiro, practicing down in Argentina for many, many years now. And our goal and intention here today with you students is to really demystify that path to become a chiropractor, clear up some misconceptions you may have about the profession and what chiropractic is, and really just provide any insights that we can that'll help your path be a little bit smoother, or your transition a little bit smoother into school. So without further ado, David, could you introduce yourself a little bit and maybe share your chiropractic story? What led you to chiropractic?
Sure. First, Ben, thank you. It's an honor to be here. I love your vision as I see it unfolding. So my name is Dr. David Chiro. Chiropractic was my second career. And I was just thinking about the other day, if I was introduced to chiropractic maybe in high school, I would have cut back like 10 years of my life. And so I think what you're doing is amazing. So long story short, I went to college. I got a marketing degree. I went and worked for AT&T in sales in New York City. I loved my job. I loved my life. Had a great life. Then I discovered chiropractic, and I was like, okay, this is my purpose. Now I found my purpose. So what do I have to do? And one thing led to another, and I ended up at Life College. I had some contacts and friends there. And Ben, what you're doing is incredible, because that whole process for me was like difficult, because it wasn't even a career option in high school. Like, no one said, hey, you could become a chiropractor. This is the way. So I ended up at Life College, and then I transferred to Sherman College. So that was another thing. Like, I didn't even know how to choose my school. I just chose it because there were friends there. So I basically lost another year and a half and probably about $20,000 at least, until I found the school that was right for me. So I graduated from Sherman College in '99 in South Carolina. And then in my last week of school, I was going to go to Florida, where my family lives. And in my last week of school, I saw some Argentines that I knew, and they were like, come and check out Argentina. So I came here just like kind of on a trip. And I was like, this is unbelievable. 8-10 hours from Miami. And there's very few chiropractors. No one really even heard the word. So I ended up in Argentina and been here since 2000.
Wow.
Yeah, 2000. Awesome. It's been an incredible journey. Yeah. And now I have chiropractic practices in 5 countries, in Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Mexico, Spain. And we're rocking, And I think this is amazing, Ben, because what I realized too, if you don't have some direct contact with a chiropractor, it's not like you're going to really choose it as a career. So I think it's amazing what you're working on, because people think of other things, but they really have a lot of misconceptions about chiropractic. So hats off to you with this project.
Thank you for acknowledging that. Yeah, I mean, going into chiropractic school, it was really, I was working in a chiropractic office as a massage therapist, so I saw it through that lens. But when I chose my school, I chose it based on location. I had no idea that there were different versions of chiropractic that you would hear based on which school you'd go to. And so my hope or my intention is that if you're a student listening to this, that you don't choose the school based on location, that you take some notes based on me and David's experiences. I also transferred schools. I chose the school based on location. I had to transfer, and it all worked out in the end. And it gave me great context for, wow, the span or spectrum of chiropractic education is so wide. And I just want to get into some details now into sort of what were those pivot points, or what were those life-changing moments where the light bulb went on and you were able to really focus in on chiropractic in a way that was different from what maybe your initial version of it was, or your initial definition. Can you kind of talk to like where you had those different experiences or those different exposures?
Yeah, so growing up in the United States, It's actually insane if you think about it, because I grew up in New Jersey where there's a lot of chiros, and I never was really exposed to it, so I thought it was about pain. So my first experience was when I had pain when I was like in my 20s. I was already on another career path, and actually, Ben, my first experience. I remember this like the day my daughter was born. I left the practice. It was in New York. I was living in New York City. It was a spring day, thousands of people walking around, like enjoying the weather, and when I left the office, I had the same pain, but something inside of me shifted. And I was like, am I in a dream right now? I felt this like connection. And I had to stop for about an hour and a half and just sit there and just feel. And I said, I have no idea what this is. But first, I was like kind of pissed that no one told me this sooner or exposed me. And then second, I was like, this is my path. And if I didn't have friends in chiropractic school, I had no, like, but they didn't even tell me, Dave, you need to be a chiro. I had found out later that I had friends there after I told some friends, hey, did you ever go to a chiropractor? Oh, yeah, Mike's in school, man. Then I started contacting them, and then I ended up in life. But so that was the pivotal point. And my second was when I heard who would become my first real big mentor, Arnold Bernier. And I heard him when I was at my first school, and I said, wow, where do I go to get this? And he's like, you need to transfer schools. So I transferred at that time. That was the second pivotal point. And then my third was when I went and practiced and like put this in action, and where people never heard the word chiropractic. So I was almost 98% of my practice is people that never heard the word chiropractic before, which is amazing on the planet today, you know? That
Absolutely
that happens.
Yeah, I want to also share that I went to another country. I went to Mexico, Honduras. I shared my experience of chiropractic in Colombia as well, right out of school, and also as a student. And there's nothing like showing up in a community that's never seen chiropractic or heard chiropractic, and just opening your table up and putting like offering my services for free in Spanish, and being able to connect with people across language barriers is something that I think is not talked about enough. Being a chiropractor, all you need is your hands, your heart, your mind is going to really gravitate towards that opportunity that exists in your environment, and you're going to create space for people to come and connect with you. And that's happened to me, and I've continuously been able to connect with people through chiropractic. That inspiration that I got in school is really what led me to be able to just travel anywhere and be able to share my message, share my gifts. And I think that if I had not transferred schools, I might not have had that burning fire inside of me. And I'm really just dedicated to making sure that every student, regardless of which school they go to, gets exposed to that original chiropractic principle, the original messages, also gets exposed to the level of training that's needed if you're going to have that confidence in yourself, but also that clarity about what it is that you're doing with somebody, and being able to go to any school and just be on fire. I think that's the key. My premise is the subluxation in our profession is the prospective student doesn't get exposure to chiropractic. So they're leaving it up to the schools to expose them to chiropractic. And unfortunately, the ball's getting dropped. Can you speak a little bit about the schools that you're currently working with, or that you are a fan of? Also in South America, can you speak a little bit about where chiropractic's at right now, given your involvement?
Sure, Ben. Great question. So number one, Ben, I just want to bring context to this. For me to look around and see that the schools in chiropractic are not overflowing, like I don't understand how a school is not overflowing in chiropractic in today's world. It's just ridiculous. Not only does the world need 20 million times more chiros, it's always in like the top best professions to choose. Like it's just doesn't even enter my consciousness that the schools are not overflowing. So with that said, the schools that I work with and support are obviously more of the principal schools and more of the schools I have connections with. So Sherman, where my alma mater, Barcelona, I have my good friend Bouvernier there. The new school in Scotland, there's a new school that's going to happen in Scotland right now. And so basically those are the schools, you know, and there's other great schools out there. It's just that, you know, those are where my heart lies a little bit more, you know. There's other great schools out there, but those are the ones that I support with students, money, and intention. And then in South America right now, the situation is like this. So you have I'll talk about 3 countries where there's the schools. Let's start with Brazil. You have Brazil that you can get out of high school and go into the career in Brazil. There's no laws there. So you get a chiropractic degree. The schools there, one is very medicalized, like very, very medicalized, one of the most medicalized schools in the world. And the other one is in the middle. Okay, so not a super great education, but it's a chiropractic education nonetheless. Then you have Chile, where you have to be a physical therapist first, and that school is very medicalized, very, very medicalized. Then you have Argentina, where right now there's basically 1, 2, 3 schools. You also have to be physical therapists first, but the schools are. The 2 of the schools are very, very principled, very, very principled. They're actually really good schools, and you know, and in Argentina now they're working on more type accreditation type stuff. But that's the situation in South America. Those are the 3 places where you can study. Now in Colombia, I don't know what the situation is there. I think you might be able to study there. Mexico also is a career. So if you come out of high school, and in Mexico, it's free. The studies are free in Mexico. And the schools there, I don't know too much about them, so I can't comment too much.
We just did an interview a couple of days ago with one of the current students in the Mexican chiropractic school, who I met when I was on a service trip right out of school. And she shares a lot of great insight on Mexico and what's going on.
Amazing, Ben. And there's a lot. I think there's like 5 or 6 there. So it's not just one school there. There's a bunch there. Yes. You know, but I want to finish with this. What I've seen, Ben, is it definitely does not matter where you go to school. What matters is that you're exposed and you choose in your heart what feels right for you. You know, and it's incredible because these people that I see coming from physical therapy backgrounds, sometimes they gravitate so strong towards the original principles of chiropractic because they've seen the other side and they want something very different and unique. They don't want to duplicate what they already learned.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. That's what, why not embrace what is unique and different about chiropractic? Absolutely. What I would ask you is, what can students do before they go to chiropractic school? So often we hear, you know, once you get in, start really immersing yourself in it. But what do you think about the idea of creating like a year-long immersion process into chiropractic before you go to chiropractic school?
I think that's a phenomenal idea. I think, you know, if that's something that you have as a mission, I think it's a phenomenal idea. Right now, what I would say is this. There's a couple things. Number one, I have a friend who called me the other day that's out in California, and I'm like, you have to go to Life West and meet this girl that I know there, and she's taking him on the trip, you know, on a tour and stuff. So number one, you have to be connected to some chiro. You know, like you need to be connected to some chiropractors to talk to them, to go see their practices. Understand that there's a wide range of ways to practice as well. So don't just choose the one you know. Go and see some other ones in your community. One of the reasons I wrote 33, which is on Amazon, is a book for anyone interested even slightly in chiropractic to start understanding a little bit. And go see various schools. You know, understand that they're all very different. Don't just choose the one by your location. And I think, Ben, a pre-chiropractic program would be phenomenal. As a matter of fact, Ben, that's something I do with when someone tells me, like my daughter's 11 years old. She's like, I already know I want to be a chiro. I'm already teaching her very slowly, like little things about chiro. So by the time she gets to school, she's like, I got it. So, and the school's like, gonna put her on another level. But
and really, there is so much to explore that you could spend years and years before school exploring all the sciences, all the philosophical books, texts. I mean, oh my gosh. I appreciate you sharing insights with us. I would leave it at this. So where do you see the profession going in the next couple of years? If we can really create a common language for incoming students, that there's a mutual respect amongst chiropractors, and you start to see the younger generations working more cohesively together, what's the potential for how chiropractic can start to grow within the context of expanding to new countries and having the premise and the principles stay authentic and aligned?
So then if you think about it, that this profession's only 125 years old, so I think something like what you're doing is needed. There's a niche for it, and it's like part of our expansion and evolution. And I think I know chiropractic in its original premise will expand all around the globe on a grassroots level. Some of the things I think we need to have a better, like you're working on, a much better pre-entrance. We also need to have schools for assistants, which is in and of itself a major part of chiropractic that we just kind of leave aside, like, oh, you're like a secretary. No, an assistant's like a chiro that doesn't adjust, So
right.
There's so much more in that realm. And I think, this can switch overnight with the right vision. And I think also the schools could work better together, to expand their visions instead of it's this school versus that school, or, fight for students. There's more than enough, students around the world. And I think once this hits like the general population of how amazing chiropractic is as a career, I mean, this should be quantumly exploding, overnight, especially with the context of the world today.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you see how popular it is for people to binge watch chiropractors adjusting on YouTube. It's really become a sensation. I mean, I have people that come to my practice who just said, I need to get adjusted. This looks amazing. And yeah, so anyway, if you're a pre-chiropractic student, I want you to drop any comments below, any questions that you have. We'll be seeing these comments for months and years to come. We'll definitely get back to you. And we're just here to support you. We want to create a supportive infrastructure so that you feel like you have somebody you can ask questions to and get real answers every step of the way. I'll share this with you, David. I think that there needs to be a 5-step process leading up to chiropractic school. The first step is really getting grounded in the foundations of chiropractic. And historically, chiropractic was rooted in the principle of tone. And from tone came oscillation, and from oscillation became like a listening of that relationship that we have with ourselves. And that relationship we have with ourselves, we call our innate mind, our innate intelligence. And I've broken the word innate up into 2 words to be our inner state. And I'm using state as an acronym to be our inner scientist, our inner thinker, our inner artist, our inner teacher, our inner entrepreneur. And if we can begin to look within and build this relationship with these different skill sets, I believe it's going to allow a chiropractic student or a pre-chiropractic student to have context each step of the way. So the first step is to get grounded in the basics. The second step, once you are actually interested in chiropractic, is to go deeper into these different areas: the science, philosophy, art, communication, and then entrepreneurship, and or creativity. And then the third step is to actually give every pre-chiro student a template of how to get the most out of their experience receiving ongoing care, and visiting offices. Because as you know, most prospective students, regardless of which healthcare profession they go to, they do job shadowing or they do these clinical experience hours. And most medical professions require that you have at least 50 to 100 hours spent either in a hospital or in a clinical setting. And so chiropractic, we're trying to still build this standard for entrance, right? We don't have an entrance exam, so let's create an entrance standard. You need to spend at least 10 to 50 hours receiving care, observing care, reflecting on these experiences. And then the fourth stage, I'm proposing that every PreChiro student opens their own business or at least gets involved with some sort of small business venture, because there's so many steps and elements that go into being a business owner, which many chiropractors become one day, and I believe is a more aligned path with who chiropractors are. They're very unique and creative people. And then so just everything that comes along with that entrepreneurial sort of PreChiro club startup. You know, they're starting their own club on their own campus in their own new environment. Like you and I have gone to new environments where we don't know anybody in the environment, and how do we really start from there? It's from within. And then final step and fifth step is just an independent study. You know, you're committed to chiropractic school. You can study anything you want to study or do a little research capstone project. And this is what's going on regarding the infrastructure. If you want to really onboard an incoming student the right way, and that way they show up in chiropractic school, they have the conviction, the experience, the clarity, they're committed, and there's no amount of, you know, boards getting you down that's going to take the chiropractic out of you, you know? So I just wanted to share my vision with you today. And I also love hearing you because you're a big level thinker. You're making incredible progress down in South America, and you've been doing it for 20 years. So my goodness, what does the next 20 years looks like? I know that you've got so many young chiropractors like lined up, ready to help whatever the movement looks like. So I'm just happy to be working alongside of you. And I've got no doubt that you and I, working with everybody else that really cares, you know, because we know how hard it is to really enter into this profession with no support and enter into this profession really not knowing what it is. So thank you. Any last words, just in reflection?
Yeah. What I want to say is your vision is spot on, man. And, you know, one of the things also, Ben, is like people get into chiropractic and then they're like maybe 2 years down the road and they're like, you know what? I chose the wrong path. And so they try to change chiropractic because they chose the wrong thing. And it's like, no, this is chiropractic. You either love this or go choose something else. So I think anything also that helps them to decide in their heart if this is right for them. I think your ideas are amazing. And you know, the world is so open right now. There's more countries without laws, without schools, than there are countries with laws and with schools. And you know, so I think this vision that you have is amazing, is outstanding. And you know, now it's like start bringing it into, I would say, start on a small level. You know, test it and then make it bigger and bigger. And also, I just want to comment on that idea about starting your own business, because chiropractic school today is expensive. So if you can have the experience of having your own business, making some money while you're in school, it's a double win. You know, and today with the internet, there's so many little things you could do that are creative to have ideas to make some money while you're in school and learn how to run a little small business. Because in the end of the day, it's something that took me years to learn, you know, when I got in practice. So I think it's amazing. And any help I could be, let me know. You know, so if people want to contact me, they can contact on my fan page. It's at David Serio 123. That's my Facebook fan page.
Mm-hmm. Right on. And what is going on in your life right now? What are you exploring yourself, just to get some insight into where you're at with things?
Yeah. So I'm in the middle of working on 2 books. One is for the public. It's about 33 principles, but for the public. And then another one is for chiropractors. It's based on the triune of success. So those are coming out within the next year. And also, my vision right now is to keep growing our team. We have 48 people on our team in 5 countries. The goal is to hit 100 people, and then we're going to open a school. And I'll put it out there right now. That's the idea. And we will open a school in a place where it's not regulated, so that we don't have to deal with all the regulations. We want to put out pure chiropractic on this planet. So, that's coming. I would say it could take anywhere from 8 to 20 years, but that's in the pipeline. But the vision, Ben, is that we have enough chiros that have been in practice 10 years and they're rocking to teach. We want to open a school where all the chiros are experienced. They're really no one will be teaching there if they haven't seen a volume of people, and have been in the profession for a while. So, we're going through the steps now. We're getting that in order, but that's the vision right now. So those are a couple of things.
What's your triune for success?
Service. So service is number one. You need to understand, what does that even look like? What does it mean? Second one is personal growth. Third one is business. So those are the 3 things that, and in that is philosophy, obviously, and principles. But, even someone like myself, I had these amazing mentors, and I had pieces of those, but I didn't have them so clear. So one of those things was missing. It took me so many years to understand the business or the personal growth part I had there, but the service not so clear. So that's the triune of success and practice. So that's going to be one of the books. And I'm working on those 2 books with one other person each book. So it's going to be a collaboration.
Right on. We just need to keep growing the resources, make it relevant. The world's changing. Obviously, resources have become more accessible than ever. So it's going to be really easy to provide students with 100 links and just say, hey, nothing's more important than anything else. Get dipped on a regular basis and, dip yourself into that message. And I think this conversation is needed. And I think we need to have more of these conversations, because we're right now just touching on the tip of the iceberg as to what we could really share if we knew that there was a pre-chiropractic student sitting right in front of us.
Totally. And I love what you're proposing, is because, Ben, when you were in school, it was clear. There was, some of the students that did the homework, went to chiros, and they were fired up, they were in this, and there was other students that just came for a nice career or something. And they're like, I see this 20 years later, Ben, I think the statistic is 60% of chiros aren't even in practice after 10 years. So I think, everything you could do before to help the quality, help people make better decisions, is only a benefit in the long run for our profession and for individuals, because I think it works 2 ways. You have people in our profession that choose the wrong profession. And then you have people in other professions that if they chose chiro, they would be so happy and fulfilled. So it's it works both ways,
100%. And the last piece I'll touch on is, if we're starting chiropractic education in a new country and we don't have a pre-chiropractic program to really, for lack of better terms, indoctrinate them into what chiropractic is from a pure message, then we're leaving it to the hands of these physical therapy schools and these medical schools to really just say, hey, chiropractic is just an extra specialty, an extra modality that you can add to your tool belt. And it's missing completely. I mean, the initial school I went to didn't even have any philosophy being talked about. No green books existed on the campus. I never even heard of the Palmers, except for in this historical concept that was shared, this one packet that was shared with me in my first semester. And if it hadn't been for a student that was sitting right next to me in the class, who had already gone through chiropractic school in Brazil and was going through it a second time at this school that was near her house, in Oregon, then I would have never gone with her to Parker seminars as a second quarter student and gone with her to this Oregon Chiropractic Association and heard chiropractors who were on fire sharing like, hey, wake up. And I went up to them after the talk and said, where should I be? And they said, not here. And so I transferred. And it was just really like, it left a bitter taste in my mouth. Like, wow, why was I not told this by my guidance counselor in undergrad? And, you know, how much could I have learned before chiropractic school instead of transferring to a school that had over like 50 techniques that you could get exposed to? And I had to spend all this time going to every single technique seminar and just getting these little exposures, which, you know, give me context to be able to help the new student today, but they don't really serve me in my practice in the sense that I'm not necessarily like going deep into those things. I'm just touching on them in a superficial way. And I believe that students need to go really deep into one or two or three things, and they'll be, you know, just delivering gold.
Wow. That's amazing, Ben, because, you know, even it blows my mind, even in today's world with the internet. You talk to chiros even today that say, I was never exposed to this part of chiro, like, and, you know, and it's just mind blowing. And, you know, I wanted to share one other thing, a good resource is the Institute Chiropractic by my good friend Simon Senson. You know, one of the things he's really trying to do is put all the history in correct place and create a language for chiropractic. And I mean, it's just a place where like everything is very researched. He's a brilliant researcher on history and philosophy, and so that's a great place. It's very accessible. You can join that. I think you don't even have to be a chiro to join. So I'm not sure about that, but that's a great place.
I've been a member. I've gone through many of his lectures on there, and even as a graduate who's read many texts and been to many seminars and been under, I had no idea of the history of our profession, and he describes it in such an eloquent way and so detailed that it really gives you this reverence for, wow, we are really guarding the sacred trust. We are really like standing on the shoulders of giants who came before us. And you know, this project really hit home for me in my last semester of chiropractic school. I listened to Reggie Gold say his crowning achievement in all the years of being a chiropractor, being an educator, being a defender of the profession, inspiring students to go to chiropractic school was his biggest achievement, he felt, because that was his legacy. And so I'm 8 years into practice now, and I'm saying to myself, back when I was a third quarter student, I wanted to build this legacy, and here I am finally really just trying to share out of my abundance so that new students can feel like, wow, I'm in the right place, you know?
Yeah, and I think, Ben, while you were saying that, I think if the chiros in their communities went to the high schools, for example, you know, and went into the classrooms and spoke about the profession, the principles, how it's unique, and how you can go into school, you know, I think that would be an amazing service also. Like, you know, we have in our practices like career nights, so people can come and listen. How do you get into the career? What are the options to study? You know, if we were all doing career nights once a month all around the world, you know, we could fill the schools, you know, and it's amazing. Like, I know even right now with the COVID, I talked to some people on some of the campuses, the numbers are down of enrollment. I mean, it's just, you know, yeah.
Because I know that the numbers have consistently grown over the last several years. And one my biggest challenge with these career nights and these leadership weekends where you go to the school and you get fired up is that it kind of ends there. Like, you kind of expose them and you show them something, and then there's no next step, and there's no like 6-month process that you can carry them through from that point. And I think that's what's been really missing is that, you know this, when you communicate with people in a spinal care class, when they're initially meeting you, that's such a crucial moment and a pivotal moment in their consciousness. But if you don't have a follow-up meeting with them, if they never see you again or hear from you again, they're probably not going to know what to do with that.
Totally, totally, totally. It's amazing, Ben, because I think what you're hitting on is so crystal clear because it's like 125 years, our processors, we're still babies in this, So any process that we can make that's more efficient, better, it produces better graduates, it produces better profession is beautiful to focus on because there's so many things we could always improve and evolve. And as the world changes, I mean, Ben, even thinking about your idea, the pre-program doesn't even need to be, it could be by internet, it could be by Zoom, it could be by live, it doesn't even have to be in face-to-face because there's no hands-on.
This is it right here. I mean, you talk about chiropractors going to the classrooms. We're in a classroom right now. This conversation is being watched by a group of students that are in a quote-unquote PreChiro club in Amsterdam.
Exactly.
And, just to finish your point, it's like medicine is very event-based. You go there, you get treated, and then you leave. You don't come back after that event. Chiropractors are promoting a more process-oriented way of engaging with chiropractic. And we have admissions departments, which are still events-based 125 years later. They're not process-oriented. Yeah, they have a process of like, get your letter of recommendation, get your GPA up, finish the classes you need. But they don't have a process of, okay, now that you've heard what chiropractic is and you're interested, it's time that you enroll not in our school, but in our PreChiro program. And my hope or my vision is that you've got all these technique organizations, all these political organizations, all these scientific organizations, all the schools create their own stuff for the PreChiro student. They center their mind and their focus on, if I had 5 hours with this PreChiro student, what do I want them to know about my organization? What do I want them to know about the science of what it is that I'm dedicating my life to? Because people in these small little technique groups, which, are these little tiny bubbles, they're so passionate and they feel so fulfilled by what they're doing, but nobody knows about it and nobody may ever hear about it. And it's like, if you just had a Cliff Notes version of all these different techniques, of all these different philosophical groups, of all these different events that take place that inspire chiropractors. If you had these chiropractic events giving you their like little best of to really get the gist of this brand of chiropractic or this experience that you get of going to those events, students would be like live streaming the event from all over the world because they love the message,
A brilliant idea. And as we're talking, I just had an idea about, how about in the end of your studies, a postgraduate program, so we get our degrees and it's like, ciao, now what do I do? And so a lot of people get lost in that side too, Ben, and so anything that could create more support and more clarity is just amazing. And Ben, on top of that, if you think about it, I went to marketing school before. And so we hear all these stories about Coca-Cola and stuff and like all these pharmaceutical companies and whatever, but when I heard the story about Gonstead, I'm like, why did I learn about this guy? Or BJ Palmer, like this guy was an inventor, he was illuminated and he created all these businesses and he grew the school of chiropractic. And it's like, why did I study this at marketing school? And like when I saw Gonstead's clinic, I'm like, why did I needed to learn about this guy, and so it's like that also, Ben, I think chiropractic stays, like you said, you go to these seminars, we're in our own little box, but why aren't we learning in our marketing classes in universities about chiropractors and chiropractic and what some of the people have done, I mean.
Yeah. So if you take the brain to tissue cell concept, right, the safety pin cycle, right, the brain is all of these organizations, institutions, mentors, groups that coach chiropractors. And the tissue cell, the cells are the students, the cells are the chiropractors. And there's truly a subluxation, a disconnect between our schools and the people that want to become healthcare providers and lead a purpose-driven life. So in the name of lasting purpose, where are we? How are we not showing up? I mean, when I look at the hashtag PreChiro, there's nothing that's coming up. But when I look at the hashtag pre-med, there's 60,000 pre-med hashtags in the last month. So
how many, if you put, I never even thought about that. When you put a hashtag PreChiro, how many come up? Like,
so there's a group of different people that use hashtag PreChiro to describe sort of like before the adjustment, like they came in with this or they came in with that. So this is like before chiropractic changed their life, but there's no like pre-PT is, you know, you got a pre-PT grind website, which is broadcasting to over 1,000 pre-PT students at one moment, you know, and all they're doing is just talking about how do you get into school? How do you prepare for the GREs? How do you get the best GPA? Which is the same thing that a lot of admissions groups do. They're just like, how do you get in? And it's very short-sighted. It's not like, how do you fulfill your dream of becoming the chiropractor that you want to be based on the research you've done, based on the inner work you've done so that you can help the people that you want to help as best as you can help them. And, you know, I'm from New York. I'm kind of from the inner city, multicultural upbringing. My best friend was a barber. I see chiropractors like barbers. They should be the community center where people come in, they're hanging out. It's a good time. People are bringing their kids to get a haircut. People are bringing their parents to get a haircut. You know, barber shops, hair salons are really like the glue for these inner city communities. And that's what I believe chiropractic should be branded as. And I think the Joint is really trying to meet people there. I'm going to be having a conversation with a friend of mine who works for the Joint, and like the Joint has a big vision to really increase the market share of chiropractic. And he's trying to really instill that principle and philosophy at the forefront of their messaging. So like, I can't wait to really hear what they're about to do, but because, you know, they have a huge budget. They have a huge group of people. Like you said, you need 100 in your organization to launch a school. They, I'm sure, have over 100 people working on all these different practices. So anyway, any final messages or final thoughts for our PreChiro students today?
Yeah, I mean, the best decision I ever made was, I'm so grateful chiropractic found me. I believe I was chosen to be a chiro. I mean, I work so many hours if you look at it on paper, but I haven't worked a day in my life since I entered into chiropractic. I've gotten up every day since I've been a student in a chiro for 25 years now, and, you know, with my student, and not one of those days I didn't wake up inspired, on fire, you know. And it's like, chiropractic has given me so much in terms of my own life, people I meet, economically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I mean, it's phenomenal. Some of the best people I've met in my life have been in chiropractic. I have brothers and sisters around the world. And, you know, if you're even slightly interested, reach out to us. My fan page actually is DSerio123. That's my fan page. Reach out to us. We'll help you with any questions you want to have, and look into it, because it's an amazing, amazing career, and the future is so bright in chiropractic. So
thank you. If you want to become a chiropractor, we are here for you. Have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for taking the time with us. And
of course, Ben.
Until next time.
Thank you, brother.